Jeff Vangelos on News Radio 1040, WHO, and the iHeartRadio app.
What the suspect in the murder of Molly Tibbetts told police is that she was out jogging in Brooklyn. He was harassing her. She said, get away from me. I'm going to call the police. He says then he blacked out, and when he came to, Molly was in his trunk, and he basically put her in a cornfield and covered her up with corn stalks, and ultimately he led police to her body. And I'm sure what has upset a lot of Iowans about this story is, especially in our small towns, we expect that we're going to go out and be safe, and we expect that a girl like Molly can go out and go jogging and be safe. But the reality of the situation it's sparked conversation about how to be safer when out and about, especially for young women. And that has sparked a national conversation about personal safety devices. That's why I'm pleased to welcome my next guest. Johnny Ross is an expert on personal safety wearables. He's on the Lippman Law Newsmaker line. Johnny, welcome to WHO in Des Moines. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I hope all's going well for you today.
It is. Johnny, I would suppose that the availability of GPS in various devices has really changed the impact of personal safety wearables for people. What's out there?
Well, I'll tell you, GPS is a great first stop, if you will, for where the technology is going, so we can always locate our loved ones. You think about this. We started off with Mace, and that's still around.
Right.
And we moved from that to now you're starting to see devices on the market like devices like that have spikes on them that wear on you. Looks like a little
cat,
and has these spikes. Yeah, you can hit people with it, and you have quite a few of those things that are coming out now. And although good, I think those are a little bit dangerous as well, though, because if the person using that device doesn't have any knowledge of how to defend themselves, that could be a bad situation for them. But nonetheless, it's a step in the right direction. Also, we're starting to see more and more lights with green lasers that are very, very bright that can be activated along with GPS as well. All of that is going in the right direction. There are devices that are being worked on. In fact, my company's working on one right now that would have the ability to turn on GPS and lights and different things and continually track the person who may be under some type of duress.
Right. Johnny is the CEO of MedHab, and that's what I'm intrigued about, Johnny, is these devices that something would happen which would indicate that the person's under duress and would then result in some kind of call to the police being made. Because you're right, Johnny, we can talk about GPS. That's about tracking you. But I imagine that there's a lot of technology being developed where, if, for example, if I dropped my phone, that some kind of call would be made or some signal be sent because I might be under duress, because you need police response fairly quickly. So is that where you think technology is going?
Well, it will, and I mean, you have to be a little bit careful with immediately going to the police, because the potential for false alarms is very, very great.
Yeah.
Or not maybe the false alarm, but where somebody, maybe a would-be attacker, comes up on somebody, and all of a sudden they activate a device with a light on it or some type of a sounding device, and then maybe they back off. Well, if it's already gone to the police, then, there'd have to be some safeguard in there, checks and balances before it goes directly to the police, which can be done quite easily. Another way to do it would be to send information, directly to through an app to the family immediately as well. And, so that you can go either route. And I think, again, the checks and balances would have to be in there to mitigate the false alarm potential. Obviously, if there's too many false alarms, and the police will really not know how to behave in those type of if they get so many of those, after one after another, if you're following me.
Yeah, I do, because, I'm thinking, say, of Molly's situation, for example. Mm-hmm. Let's say she's got some kind of app and she pushes a button and a distress text is sent to a family member. Even maybe the ringing of the phone at that point would be distressing enough maybe to a would-be attacker to move them away. So it seems like, Johnny, what we're talking about is a couple of things here, something in which the attacker is disincentive to make an attack and something which alerts people that you might be in distress.
Absolutely, Jeff. That is exactly what I think the technology should be going towards. For example, instead of like it's my understanding that Molly did like hold up her phone and try to, if you're having to engage an app right away or something on your phone, you may not have that type of time. So, for example, I can't tell you everything about our device because it's proprietary.
Right.
I can't speak this morning, but here's what could happen. Let's say the device could be worn on the wrist, for example. Okay. And if a would-be attacker is coming on, it's a very quick activation with maybe a simultaneous button release, for example. Okay, it could be voice activated. What would happen then? Your laser lights turn on. A loud alarming tone can come on. GPS automatically turns on. So you're not having to activate the app, but by virtue of having either it directed to a checks and balances to like a 911 or to your family, where the app would reside and already have been downloaded, that information goes to them automatically that way. And so the person under duress doesn't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I have to get to this app and click this, click that. No. Touch the device, let everything turn on, and do its thing.
Yeah, Johnny, you were making an important point earlier that I keep thinking about. We've talked about defensive measures that you can have. For example, some kind of device you can have on your key ring that you would go after an attacker with. But you were saying, look, really the other side of that is that you might be escalating a situation that wasn't going to escalate to an attack. Was that your main worry? Am I characterizing that right?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I mean, obviously those devices have their place, and I do not want to disparage them because anything that can help, obviously, for the most part, is a good thing. Mm-hmm. The point I'm making is it could escalate it, but again, if you don't know how to properly use one of those devices, and you can get manhandled, no pun intended here,
I hear you.
All of a sudden that can be taken away from you and used against you. So, I know some of these devices, they do offer some type of defense classes with them, but that would be my fear, that it's taken away and used against you.
I gotcha. Johnny Ross is an expert on personal safety wearables, and as he said, he's got his company working on a product they can't talk too much about, but Johnny, I imagine that this kind of publicity inspires companies like yours to think about how can we come up with a product that's and I think wearable is sort of the key thing, that is something I'd put on my wrist or something that I'd have on me that would protect me in any kind of dangerous situation. I'm sure there are a lot of folks out there now thinking through how that would work.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you how we started thinking about this really. And what happened was we have a fall detection device called MyNotifi, right? Mm-hmm. It's for senior citizens, and it communicates directly to the family in the event of a fall, or if some other support is needed. They can touch the device. For example, if they were in their home and maybe it was something going on, heart attack or whatever, they could touch the device and summons help. Or if somebody's breaking into their home, they hear it, they can touch that device and summons. In this case, it summons their family immediately. When we were working on that and working with the manufacturer, I had a conversation. We just started talking about the global epidemic of human trafficking and all the bad stuff we live with today. And this gentleman, the manufacturer, Johnny, if you can augment your device to work not only for the seniors but make one for the general population, that would be a really big deal. And I sat there and started thinking about it, and I did some research, and you read what's going on in our world today. We just decided, okay, we already have the wearable technology. Why can't we make something that could do a lot of different things that could track, any type of an incident where a person may be under some type of duress? And so we have that. We have a device right now in design phase. It's going to take us probably the better part of 8 months or better to get that on the market, because it's rather challenging to do everything we're wanting to do. But we're working on it, and I think sooner than later, I should say, there will be many products on the market for personal safety because it's such a big deal. It
is. You're right. CEO of MedHab and an expert on personal safety wearables is Johnny Ross. Johnny, great comments, great insight today. Thanks for joining me.
Jeff, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.